We are going to tell you a story about Kweku and Nancy. I'm sure we all know Kweku and Nancy. Do you know Kweku and Nancy? Oh, Agawu.
Amen. Yatini din yeshiana.
Yatini din so yeshiana.
Atisa.
Kweku and Nancy cultivated a farm. Brofood. With his family. But Kweku decided that he is the wise one. So when time came for harvesting, he decided to do it alone and enjoy the fruits of the whole family's labor.
Oh, what a fruit.
Kweku si onsura de. Kweku don suro. Aye Kweku don suro. Aye Kweku don suro. Aye Kweku aye Kweku aye Kweku nyansafu aye Kweku aye abona si de bibi ya ketimu na Kweku na dabere hiya weya ena Kweku ochna Kweku awona dabere hiya we Kweku don suro. Kweku don suro. Kweku and Nancy decided to steal from his own family. Debbie meko mefum peyinka. Agawu.
Amen.
Oh, Agawu. Yentimuni o, Agawu.
Are you here?
Debbie meko mefum peyinka. So we call Debbie meko mefum, then you respond with Keyinka. Debbie meko mefum peyinka. Debbie meko mefum peyinka. Biko hu samai kitten na misro na misuro pa Agawu. Debbie meko mefum peyinka. Debbie meko mefum peyinka. Biko hu samai kitten na misuro pa opuma nitio kaso me poma mitio o de jebeso kaso me de jebeso Debbie meko mefum biko hu samai kitten na misuro pa opuma nitio kaso me poma mitio o de jebeso kaso me de jebeso Atika ati. I'm sure we know this one. It brings back memories.
Indomie generation come.
Sound. Agawu.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Legon Palmwine Band, and a very good evening to you all. You are warmly welcome to the music circle in Nsadwase Nkomo. Since 2017, this forecourt, or this courtyard, rather, has played host to this performance cycle known as Nsadwase. Nsadwase Nkomo. And during those sessions, music is made, palm wine drinks are drunk, and conversations are held on topical issues, usually around the Ghanaian music industry. But today, the Department of Music is taking this Nsadwase Nkomo a notch higher by bringing on board very distinguished scholars and practitioners to be part of our conversation. And they are really going to discuss issues about theory and practice. As you have seen in our flyer, progressive traditionalism, that is the theory, and the practice is Nsadwase Nkomo. So you are welcome unofficially. But I'd like to invite the head of department, Dr. Ajwa Ahin, to formally welcome everyone. And at Nsadwase, you know, we don't stand when we are talking, you know. It's a relaxed atmosphere. So you sit where you are and you speak your mind. So HOD, feel free.
Nana is Nsadwase, not Nsadwase.
Nsadwase.
I think yours is the ever version.
Good evening to you all. And once again, welcome to the Department of Music and to the first in the series of our weekly seminars in the Department of Music in the 2022-2023 academic year. You all agree with me that this is unique, and we are really in our colloquium a very high level, right? Yes. We are bringing you something that looks like performer collaboration, or the moderator says something that it looks more like artistic research as well. And we are going to learn a lot because we have seasoned professors here to lead us through. We have a lot of data around us. We have a lot of performances around us. But how do we relate the theories that we read to the things that we hear? And so today is going to be very awesome. Relax and please listen attentively and join this academic conversation. On this note, I would like to once again welcome you all to this evening's colloquium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, HOD. Nsadwase means conversations with Palmwine music.
Yeah.
So if I say Nsadwase Nkomo, the response should be what? Conversations with Palmwine music.
Exactly.
Nsadwase Nkomo. No, I want it in English, please. Conversations with Palmwine music. Nsadwase Nkomo.
Conversations with Palmwine music.
Nsadwase Nkomo.
Conversations with Palmwine
As we
music.
drink, and
Awesome.
we sip.
Beautiful. So, as I mentioned earlier, progressive traditionalism in the context of Nsadwase Nkomo. And there is no other person to speak on this topic than a very astute scholar. This scholar holds a PhD in performing arts with emphasis in music from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. He has held faculty positions at the University of Ilorin in Nigeria and Kwara State Universities. He was a visiting African Humanities Program postdoctoral fellow to the Department of Music and Musicology at Rhodes University, that's in South Africa. Adopting a multidisciplinary perspective, his main area of research is African popular music and popular culture. He has over 35 academic publications to his credit, some of which is, okay, an example is Nigerian high life music. That is a book. His essays have appeared in lots of journals, some of which are British Journal of Music Education, Popular Music, African Music, Journal of the African Literature Association, and Journal of Musical Arts in Africa, among others. He's a fellow and advisor of the African Humanities Program of the American Council of Learned Societies, New York. African Studies Association Presidential Fellow, 2019, and the Liaison Officer, Nigeria, for the International Council of Traditional Music, ICTM. He's a member of the Society for Ethnomusicology, the African Studies Association, and the Association of Nigerian Musicologists. Besides his academic engagements, this speaker is an accomplished dance band musician and music producer with about 40 years of music industry experience in Africa. Currently, he is a professor and visiting scholar here at the Department of Music, University of Ghana, Legon. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Professor Austin Emielu. He will be our first speaker. The second speaker, and you know, I'm taking pain or time to go through all this so that we will be motivated and encouraged to work hard and do more than our speakers have achieved. Okay, this is another motivation, as he says, Palmwine, yes. Our next speaker is a practitioner, music practitioner.
In whom I'm well pleased.
In whom we are well pleased. In fact, he's a proud alumnus of the Department of Music here at the University of Ghana. He's a founding member and lead vocalist for the Legon Palmwine Band. He is currently a full-time professional musician and also performs with the Nkomo Band. He has been anchoring the Nsadwase Nkomo since its inception in 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, here you have Seth Podo.
Mr. Seth
Agawu.
He was wondering why we've given him a title, Mr. Seth Podo. And apparently, his band colleagues have been teasing him since the flyers went out. But I want you to know that this is an academic environment. And here we take titles very serious. So we have to give you a title. So you are Mr., okay? Mr. Seth Podo. Another round of applause.
I accept.
Our last, but not the least, distinguished guests. He will be our discussant for this evening's Nsadwase Nkomo. And this discussant was born in Ghana, where he received his initial education before studying composition and analysis in UK and musicology in the United States. His work focuses on analytical issues in selected repertoires of Western Europe and West Africa. He is the author of 5 monographs and numerous articles and reviews. Notable examples of his monographs are Playing with Signs, 1991, African Rhythm, 1996, Representing African Music, The African Imagination in Music, 2016. And for those of you who did music in African cultures, I'm sure you are familiar with this book. His awards include this word, Guggenheim Fellowship, the Dent Medal, the Frank Llewellyn Harrison Medal, the Howard T. Berman Award from Princeton University, and honorary degrees from Stellenbosch University and Bard College. He has served on the editorial boards of leading journals in musicology, music theory, African studies, ethnomusicology, and ethnomusicology. A corresponding fellow of the British Academy. He is a fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, honorary member of the Royal Musical Association, and adjunct professor Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana, Legon. He is currently Distinguished Professor at the Graduate Center, City University of New York. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our privilege to have in our midst Professor Kofi Agawu. Shall we rise and welcome him? Yes, for once, we are breaking Nsadwase Nkomo rules. Prof, we are honored to have you. Thank you very much for coming. So, since Nsadwase Nkomo means conversations with Palmwine music, we will invite the Legon Palmwine band to give us a tune. After that, we zoom business into serious LPB.
Agawu.
Amen.
Oh, Agawu.
Amen.
Your friend Agawu, I know it's me, boy. I just so amen. Nsadwase dear, Sunny, you know. Ansana, ye besha see, you know. Ye be ya pie kakra. Ansana, ye timide, and sanubi, akayano. Intimini, ye be ya pie, amen.
Asasia. Onsani. Nananoma. Any before Mobua, a G department, and this school performance at the civil. That's what my gens. But before I come, Monsomotiase, our mobile chidom. Nsa, the Kita department, most of my gens. Yes, she are check. And then see a shear. Nsadwase Nkomo. Ye be di Nkomo. Na ya fe ho agyen. Na ya to nwom. Yesre mo say mo mebo echidom. Mo meken ho. Na nipa boni bi a e ka no nko na nka Nsadwase egu. Ana nkene program ye nyama so. Money triso.
Piao.
Mon kan ho.
Piao.
Na de aseda na ye nyina amamo. The school kola no omuni 18 years.
Piao.
Nsane ye. E bi kwan.
Agawu. So now we can drink palm wine and enjoy palm wine music. We call this one Legon Abrabo. Life in Legon. Legon Abrabo. Economics in Kwa.
Level 100 for the Muntini.
Legon Abraboya. Economics in Kwa. So there's something I would like us to do. Whenever we come for Nsadwase, we play the game of antiphony. We call, you respond. So Legon Abrabo, then you respond. Economics in Kwa. Any Legon Abrabo ya. Economics in Kwa. That's right. Legon Abrabo. economics nkwa suku munsamui economics nkwa bo Legon abrabono economics nkwa Koja bete hey masemuni yawo mekede Mami ko piasene sukuti ena me ba Legon obi besi University of Legon Legon aya me ba ye ya eto de bia ekom yeah me say eto de bia ekom de me ama ekete anadu bia na ebiche me My best school, so your mommy Sikasa me fembra. My money all finish, I clear. I fed here, not to plans. Papa soon in a can, I say, Emielu, ato plans. Legon abraboy, economics nkwa. Bo Legon abraboya, economics nkwa. Au suku munsemui economics nkwa obeti bushke economics nkwa bo Legon abraboya economics nkwa kwame amekoye
Agawu.
amen
100 for her.
we did
Come on, if you are. And see, we say, I mean, himself continuing students now, Omunim Dada. 100 for Munseni. Legon Hano. Yo, baby, we're from night market. Baby, so the bushke. Minim, and then the way a situation is here. And so, first, no, none a G Empire go back. Nim say, na, assassin. And I go back to Musujimo. I say, our class. Hey, I say, go back to your class. This is a house of coconut. Anna,
sorry,
now, first, no, what do you call night market? Said David as well. Aha, who could do her? Oh, Beans bear 1 CD. Coco, 50 pesos. Make us say, who are Gary with you? Ewo room. Until when you're Jenny's area, who be drew Anna and a Gary no. What do you so? Oh, fan petit so, she a gusso. Now, when I can afford the Syrian. Not a tusa. And see, what chairman about 3 p.m. on a. Now, Fede, all the beans night. So, what if the beans see and Timmy Garino? But one for home. And see, oh, yeah, brother, now come from you now, dear. So the next day, and see you.
Legon abraboya economics nkwa everybody Legon abraboyi economics nkwa mumu ayena yentoe economics nkwa Mr. Soa Legon abraboyi economics nkwa obeti bushke economics nkwa adia bako aka you no be Legon alone we economics day
Nah.
Says your Maya Yetimuno. One more economics are obe pre.
Economics crab wide.
A young girl. Ghana Braboy. Economics in Kwa. I'm sure. Say, what a kind. Eti, Yadiberry, you know. Now you know, Bejeso. Economics in Kwa. Mesigana braboya economics nkwa enkraya braboyi economics nkwa.
Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for LPB. LPB, Legon Palmwine Band. So, We'll now invite our first speaker, Professor Austin. The O, how do you pronounce the O?
Ogenemaru.
Ogenemaru, romantically. Ogenemaru.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here to share the same platform with my distinguished professor, who I met in the US in 2010. That was the first time I met him. It's a moving encyclopedia. So when I came here, he said, you only brought 3 books because his book is on top of them. The one he gave to me in 2010 in University of Massachusetts. So let me start this way. As a researcher, as a scholar, I have certain concerns. One, I'm concerned about the division of African music into 3 categories: traditional, popular, and art. When the last 2 are also deeply rooted or draw, significantly from the traditional. Then I'm also concerned about the idea of fixity and rigidity of African music traditions. We don't want this music to be polluted, so we try to protect the music. Sometimes in class, my students say, what do you want to research on? So I say, I want to research into this because the tradition is dying. As if it's dying, if you die, we do funeral. Yeah. And so, there's that thing, the debate between authenticity and hybridity. I'm also concerned with what is called popular music. According to Professor Agawu, he say popular music is defined more by what it is not than what it is. So, the latitude of popular music, particularly African popular music, which is deeply rooted in ethnic traditions, is also being one of my concerns. Then as a scholar also, I'm concerned about the modernization of indigenous music, so that we don't get fascinated with what Kofi Agawu described as the ethnography of old music. How do we make a music generationally relevant? So these are the things that have been driving my curiosity. And so in 2011, yes, I had to do a postdoctoral research. And I was focusing on the music of the particular people, the Edo of Nigeria, who are in the South. These are musicians who live in the villages, in the towns, playing an amorphous kind of music, so to say. They develop, they modernize. That's the theme I was hearing in my research. Oh, I modernize. They take what belongs to the people, the traditional music, modernize it, and give it back to the people. And when you ask the people, what do you call this kind of music? They say, oh, it is our music. It speaks to us in the ways we understand. So I see musicians in this area traversing modernity and tradition. For example, some of the dance bands, they are all guitar bands. So if you see a signboard on the road, so dance band of Uromi, you see a guitar here, you see one of those drums here, you see the shaker on this side. Sometimes they do what is called cultural music. You play without the guitars, then it becomes traditional music. When you play with the guitars, it becomes something else. So this, labeling has been problematic, and I think we need to address them. So, yes. On progressive traditionalism, I'm a strong advocate of indigenous theories. So right from my PhD, I was beginning to, think about indigenous theories. So I thought about this idea of progressive traditionalism. I thought of it to understand the music of, the people I was studying. For example, do we keep traditional music to be to be static and becomes what has been described as an artificial museum? If traditional music is developing, can we still say it is traditional music? And so the idea of progressive traditionalism, I took the word from Christopher Waterman, who did a study on Lagbaja, the mask music. And that's when he used the word for the first time. And he excited my curiosity. Then I read, Bruno Neto's work. I brought it here. I'm going to show you to graduate students after, The idea that, he talks about the continuity of change. We are used to continuity and change. But he talks about the continuity of change. And he said, that every musical tradition has in it an inherent component of change as a way to make it generationally relevant, to the groups. Then, of course, the works of Kofi Agawu. If you look at this book representing African music, on page 123, where it talks about chapter 6, talks about defending popular music. I don't know how to quote it now, but we're talking about the idea of self-renewal. That traditional music, because of its attachment to core institutions, have been thought of as something that could not change, but that there's a need to reinvent. So I decided to theorize around progressive traditionalism. I presented this work first in Indianapolis SEM in 2013, then at the University of Limerick Island in 2017, then published an article from it in 2018. So let me just read for you from, this is the article that was published on progressive traditionalism by me in 2018. Let me just read a few points for you here. In my attempt to theorize progressive tradition, I came up with the following main points. So one, a musical tradition can develop progressively without disconnecting from its indigenous roots. And contemporary African music, particularly ethnic-derived dance band music, are simply new forms of traditional music that have been revitalized and renewed as a local strategy of sustenance and generational relevance. Point number two, I say traditional music keeps changing its form through the innovations and modernization instigated by external forces and localized by owners and consumers of the culture. Number three, over time, innovations and modernizations by individuals within the culture become homogenized as representative of group cultural identities. Point number four, I say progressive traditionally helps to explain the ever-expanding framework of local aesthetics and cultural sensibilities, which is reflective of generational change. And finally, changes or innovation in the music tradition represent a form of continuity as people deviate from the norm to create additional space for music making and appreciation. And here are my concluding thoughts. The example of the Edo has shown that African music traditions are constantly evolving through the discovery of new organizational principles and new stylistic possibilities as music circulates and recirculates at an amazing speed in a global age. Inadvertently, there's a conscious domestication of outside forces to enrich and redefine rather than destroy inside resources. So in African cultures, we have gatekeeping processes. So that filter what comes from the outside to be included in what's inside. So we take what we enrich our culture and throw away what we destroy our culture. If you read the works of Bruno Tutu, we talk about modernization versus westernization. Modernization is improvement, Westernization seems to, it's rapid change that seems to destroy the system. So based on this process, my article, that's my paper now, suggests that rather than perpetuate a fascination with ethnographies of old music, ethnomusicology of African music traditions, you pay attention to group and generational reinterpretation of old traditions. The intercultural and intracultural dialogues that these new forms indicate as a way to sustain community life. And so I was saying that, therefore, in the age of cultural globalization, the intersection of tradition, innovation, and modernity will form the tripod on which the sustenance of African music traditions will rest. In other words, for African music to keep on and to be sustained, innovations, modernity, and all will come in, to sustain. Basically, what my theory talks about is a musical tradition can develop progressively without disconnecting from the Palmwine music that we hear there is an example of progressive traditionalism. When I made a presentation in University of Limerick in Ireland, I watched Kofi play here once. So he came with his guitar, he gave a good performance. At the point, he left the stage, and the Kete drummers took over. So at that time, it was traditional music. When he brings the guitar, it becomes another thing. So it's confusing. So, but it's an example of, building on tradition. But as we watch this band tonight, as we watch the group for this meeting, I'm putting a question to everybody. Say, how can Palmwine music develop progressively to accommodate generational tastes without losing its core essence. For example, suppose there's no Palmwine, we decide to use Hennessy. Suppose we decide to use plug-in, guitar effects instead of the acoustics. So let's think about this. For my graduate students, I want you to. I posted the article on your page today, and also for other faculty. Please read it. And I also want you to read. Sorry, it looks like I'm teaching. Sorry. Professor Kofi Agawu's book, representing African music. Read chapter 1, colonialism's impact, and chapter 6. Chapter 6 is popular music defended against its devotees. Very, very powerful. And then you need to look at Bruno Neto. The study, 31 issues and concepts. It's in the library here. I want you to read chapter 20, on why people change their music. Very important. Then lastly, Nketiah's 2016 representing, what's that book now? Is it recontextualizing traditional music in modern context, or I don't know what they have? Reinstating traditional music in modern context. Read the foreword by Professor Kwesi Yanka. It's very powerful. And you will have a broader context of this idea of progressive traditionalism. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Emielu. What I didn't say is that he is the proposer of progressive traditionalism, the theory at play. And we are going to dissect it and punch it left, right, center this evening. Seth Bodo, it's your turn. Will you use this mic or you use...
Agawu. Yano Monsa, na yefa dream. Yano Monsa. I would like to share my experience with Nsadwase Nkomo Performance Circle and how it has progressed from when it started till now in relation to what Professor discussed and what it means to me as a performer. I would say I view Nsadwase Nkomo as a classroom. Our forefathers, our ancestors, they used to sit in circles at Palmwine bars. They made music whilst they were drinking. At that time, what they had was palm wine. And they made music alongside. Now we are in the new age. We are young students, 2017. And our band leader says there is something he would like us to do, revitalize palm wine music through Nsadwase Nkomo performance circles, where we sit in circles, bring palm wine, trying to recreate what our forefathers, what our ancestors used to do. So it began under the big tree in front of the ETS drama studio. I would say it has progressed to a point. And we are still progressing with the aim of revitalizing Palmwine music. My first point, I view Nsadwase Nkomo Performance Circle as a classroom where we sit, we communicate, we converse, we share ideas, and also we make music. And not forgetting, we drink palm wine. People from life's journey, people from life's experiences come, they share their experiences when we meet here. We create songs through experiences that we hear at Nsadwase Nkomo. I would say I've learned quite a lot from sitting here, listening to people, and also playing the guitar. It has improved my performance and my songwriting. Performance in this sense. Papa. So when growing up, I would just sit behind this microphone through school, let's say on this stage. I would just stand behind this microphone and I wouldn't know how to communicate with people on this side or at this side. I was thinking straightforward. But when we sit in the circle, I realized there are people on my side and at this side. It's a communication between you and I. So I wouldn't just be focused on what is up front. I'll focus here and how to communicate. Music performance, as Kendall stated, is a communication of what you have already rehearsed. So I will say, Menewa nebeko mami, menewa nebeko, menewa nebeko kewe, menewa. Looking straight forward. Isumo haimo, menewa. Arewo mo enije mo, menewa. Forgetting there are people seated on my right hand side and people seated on my left hand side. So Nsadwase Nkomo built that communication in performance. So I would be performing and now I can look here and communicate with you here. Because at Nsadwase Nkomo performance circles, we communicate through this way and this way. So I would say it is progress, as Dr. Emielu said. Also touching on modernization. Back in the days, I'm not sure our forefathers had microphones. These microphones to communicate. But now we do. We have microphones. I can do this and speak, but you might not hear. But modernization has improved in Nsadwase Nkomo. And as we are here, I can speak through the microphone and someone who is seated at the back can hear me. So I will say there has been progress in performances. Also, my second point will be song writing. When we meet at Nsadwase, I remember we wrote a song some time back using the Amponsan rhythm and also the Legon Mo rhythm. Those who have been part, Erama can sing with me. Those who have been part of Nsadwase Nkomo would know how we compose. Let's say you meet your friends at a bar. You're having communications. They will say something that will touch you as a musician, and you would want to write with it. But Nsadwase Nkomo performance provides that space that you can just compose off the top of your head, improvise on anything. And I'm sure before we leave here, we will improvise in a circle form so you can get what I'm talking about. It improved my songwriting in this way. People have experiences in life, generally. Someone like Kwame Brinya, I'm sure he's around, has experience. And he comes for Nsadwase Nkomo to communicate what he feels and what he knows. I learned something from the person. And I realized, no, we can use this idea, his experience, as a song, as our forefathers used to do. Whenever they went to Nsadwase, I remember I heard a song. Koja emfo banyema, koja emfo banyem. Koja emfo banyema, koja emfo banyem. Koro koro nyamie, mewo, oba besi ochichikewa. Koja emfo banyem by J. Baini is one of the Palmwine music. I don't want to use legend. Forefathers of Palmwine music. I was listening to the song and I realized he was talking about his experience with his father. And I could recreate that memory in my head, him sitting at Nsadwase. And we've asked everyone, when we come for Nsadwase, we ask people to introduce themselves in a circle form, on a rhythm. I could imagine him sitting here at Nsadwase, and when he got to his turn, he was singing, Koja emfo banyema, koja emfo banyem. Koja emfo banyema, koja emfo banyem. Instead of just saying, oh, my father is Koja Emfo and my name is Ahemfo, he said, Koja emfo banyema, koja, on a rhythm. And that's what we do at Nsadwase Nkomo performance circles. I believe it has improved the way I write, the way I perform. Also, I would say it brings back memories from our forefathers' time. We were not there. I'm sure none of us were there. So when we meet here, it creates that nostalgia. That, oh, say na no mo yeno, yena na mo mushiemwa, no mo nom, nsefufu, no mo yenom, sa no mo yeno. It has improved. Me sure say na no mo te. Nkonya bi say so. But it has improved, and with time, I believe it will revitalize Palmwine music in general as a genre. Also, my experience with what people have told me, people will say, Charlie, today you know go doing Nkomo. Why? You will ask them, what does Nkomo mean to you? They will say, oh, we want to come and drink palm wine. It's true. It's very true. Most people come because there is free palm wine that you get, you drink, and you can dance to whatever rhythms you are playing. People come because they want to release stress. But there are others who have come that are performers, and I've seen them improve their performances. I would mention Kwame Brinya again, because he started at Nsadwase Nkomo Performance Circle. We learn from each other at Nsadwase Nkomo Performance Circle. Apart from drinking the wine, I know other people who have also improved their performances and their songwriting through Nsadwase Nkomo. So I believe with time, we will progress. Thank you. Agawu. Oh, Agawu. I'm sure we can practicalize what I said with this rhythm. No cresse matia shimu. Nesu say me hona manio. Pidi minchena min somu. Fiseni mi kura no mezanto so. Mechia eme. Eya mi se bibi kura mudio. One makoma so adie. Eti eya njiji o. Ode obedomi ya do me preko. Ode obedomi ya do me preko. Ode awon me va wo don chicho. Ode em family wumi enu don jejate. Ode
Senka komati sabofra enka mepe mama weru Odom rusu na mamone vede me the best mama weju. All the pictures I they take, you for try to paint my love for you. Don't you hear what them they say? I go love you, make you shame the devil. Why you for hold me like your own? Now I'm forever. Ode,
Ode,
oh na me day.
I'll never would on chicho. Ode, and family will be a new don chichawate. Ode, I'm in love with this cute chick. She drives me on like a Q6. I'm in a one from the city. I'm from the city that makes you dance to the music. Fantasizing so well, be fantasizing about you, be my girl. So when I get a chance to cast a spell, I say someone like me or someone like Adele. So tell the world to go to hell. I'm the man on fire, Denzel. I'll buy you shoes, diamonds and pearls. Upper class, take you all around the world. Umpewe na pede, odonye sikaba, enkosida bay. So go na my pen, so go na one, two was a guy, yeah, hey, Ade, what am I? I'm a fraquine. Everybody, Ade. I'm from a far don't teach you. Ade. I'm from me and a dance. Bide. You. Ade. What am I? I'm a broken. Ade. Ade. What am I? I'm a broken. Ade.
Whoa. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Please,
Band.
let's have our discussant, Professor Kofi Agawu.
Thank you very much. And first of all, congratulate the performers. Without you, scholars, we are nothing. You are the creators. You are the ones who bring this music into existence for us. So I commend you. Another thing I want to tell you is you don't need anyone's theories to do what you are doing. Okay? You have a built-in creative spirit that's making you do things a certain way. We theorists will come afterwards. We'll come and reflect on what you're doing. One of the things I think we need to give some thought to, and I've been hearing this in my conversations with various colleagues, is how to deal with theory versus practice. theory very often follows practice. Yes, there's a little bit of theory at the inception of your creative act, because to be human is already to be theoretical. You know, there's a famous saying by Goethe that with every glance at the world, I theorize. I mean, if you think about all the things you do, they are enabled by some sort of theoretical understanding, whether it has been formally formulated or just informally formulated. You see? So there's a sense in which I think we in the academy tend to overvalue theory. And I'm just telling you, performers, don't listen to us. Do your thing, okay? Being a discussant is hard, you know, in a situation like this because first we have the performers, then we have Professor Emielu, and then we have Mr. Kodo, as you've been called. And so, you know, I thought what I would do is just say a couple of things that struck me. I know that we are going on to a general discussion, and so if at that point anything comes up, I'll say, how is it? Nice to see you. Another distinguished performer over there. So if there's anything that comes up in the discussion section, I can weigh in. So let me just look at my notes here. It seems to me that your art, I'm speaking to the performers now, is a combination of the spoken word, the sung word, the imagined word, all mediated by a very subtle and sometimes not so subtle humor, you know, and various levels of communication. You have an already built-in progressivism, if you like. I heard the word devil being used, for example. I heard you rapping in that last song. These are innovations, right? So there's a built-in progressivism, if you like. And you should just keep doing that. You know, you should allow yourselves the free spirit to innovate. It may please some people, it may annoy some people, it may irritate some people, but whatever you do, you should be the ones making that decision. You know, I think that we worry sometimes unnecessarily about whether we should do things as creators a certain way, as if we are putting the theory before the practice. Think about for a second about European music history. Those of you who've taken music history. Where were people meeting to make decisions about what they should compose? Well, except in the Soviet Union, that's different. You know, before they composed, you know, you have a shared language, you have shared principles, you have an audience that responds, and in this case, there's something communal too about what you're doing. Right? So you're tapping into shared responses. All of that, to me, makes what you're doing a very rich enterprise. And I would just like to encourage you to keep doing it in all the dimensions. So that's for the performers. But it is true that when we're in the classroom, we need to use long words, you know, to impress people. So we come up with all kinds of categories. I guess the phrase progressive traditionalism, if you Google it, which is what we're all doing nowadays, something comes up and then you Google it. And you Google it and you find that, you know, it has antecedents in philosophy. It has antecedents in education, right? Do you teach, you know, are you a progressive teacher, you know, or are you a more traditional teacher, you know? And so there is, if you're interested in that kind of etymological history, there's a long, you know, history there that you can recover if you're interested. But Professor Emielu said he got it from Chris Waterman. Waterman was writing about Lagbaja. So that's fine. That's a good enough origin. And maybe we shouldn't be burdened too much by origins. But here's the thing. There's a slight problem with the bifurcation into things that are static and things that move. Because we as human beings are never the same in any two moments. Right? If you heard something last week and you're hearing it today, you're hearing it at a different time. you're a different person. You've eaten various meals, you've chatted to various people, you've seen the world slightly differently. And if you want to be strict about it, repeat an experience, exactly the same way. So let's value that. Let's value the change that is coming by our mere existence or our very existence, So in that sense, if some scholar thinks that traditional music, these are topoi in the literature, so it's understandable. But if some scholar formulates something about traditional music being relatively static, whereas popular music absorbs all kinds of influences and changes, let's be a little skeptical about what that actually means. We scholars, we have a lot to to answer for, because we sometimes undercomplicate phenomena just in the interest of pedagogy, and that, I think, you are all university students, you're all subtle, nuanced thinkers. So you should know when we are doing that, and you should rise above it. So I guess all I'm saying is that the phrase progressive traditionalism, maybe we need to worry it a little bit, and to understand that it incorporates a certain amount of excess, it incorporates a certain amount of redundancy. It may be a strategic redundancy, but we should just be aware of its limitations, so to speak. I like very much what you said, Mr. Kudo. The fact that you broke into song on several occasions, this is very important. That I think we, in music, sometimes we don't even value music as much as we should. Because strictly speaking, as a musician, you are in music at every point in your life. Whether you're in the bathroom, whether you're talking to somebody, whether you're eating, and so on. There is something going on, and what we need to do is to make good on that, rather than wish it away and then go and hang out with anthropologists and other people who are using language, We have another language that we can operate in. And you know very well, as I'm watching you perform, even just a little mannerism on your part, or I'm listening to you and you're speaking, and then at a certain point, you sing the thing. And suddenly it's magical. It's coming at a moment where something transformational has taken place. These, for me, are the things I would like to see. In other words, a close observation of the kinds of cultural practices that are sedimented in the work that you're doing. Because there's a lot of it. The humor alone, one could unpack that at great length, the kinds of references. And then some of the both reverent and irreverent remarks that I heard from that part of the of the gathering, those are very important, right? Because you're communicating with people, they're responding, they're giving you answers. So anyway, there's a lot more to say. Thank you very much, I enjoyed it. And when we have the open discussion, we can continue.
Thank you very much, Prof. Agawu. So I think at this point, we would open up the discussion. Can I have the second mic, please? We've heard from the scholars, distinguished scholars. We've heard from the practitioner, Mr. Pudo, on behalf of the LPB band. I didn't say that, oh. LPB, Legon Palmwine Band. What are your thoughts? Any comments? Does anyone want to share their experience about Nkomo over the period? Prof. Emielu asked a question. How do we, for example, modernize this without losing Palmwine music, without losing its essence, for example? Any comments? Anything to share? Yes. Madam Grace.
Good evening, everyone. And I just want to add that the fact of the music, Palmwine music, being performed by a younger generation of musicians and performers is in itself towards a revitalization of the music. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Simple and short. Thank you.
I want to say something.
Yes, go ahead.
So, in fact, I have heard several descriptions of Palmwine music vis-a-vis what we are doing. I think what we are losing track of, and I think Seth mentioned it, he makes reference to our forefathers. And as he was talking, I was thinking about this idea of forefathers. But then this gathering, this circle, this idea, this context was a creation of one person. It was an idea from a story that was told by somebody who may have also heard a story. So this creation is a narrative. It could be false. And I'm speaking from the point of me conducting research in various parts of Ghana, listening to stories, spending a lot of time with Konimo. And for our generation, we've come to learn that Konimo is that bridge between the older generation and this generation and how we perceive Palmwine music. A deeper reading also leads us to the idea of, and our moderator was battling with the word, Nsadwase. Nsadwase. But when you think of the word itself, something I learned when I went into the field, and the different connotations it carries, vis-a-vis the kind of gathering we are having here, I think we should think of it more. I think when this idea came up, we were thinking, is this not a recontextualize? But again, as I was writing about Palmwine music and revitalizing it, I was thinking, but then what is the context? Is the context what it is? Or is it someone's creation? Because when I read literature, you hardly come across such idea, except for that bridge I'm talking about. When you go further and you listen to stories, you get a sense of two contexts of Palmwine music making. One is not recorded. It's just like we are doing, It's spontaneous. It is, if it was today, we would say it's at a bar, at in Nsadwase, where they are selling palm wine. It has nothing to do with music. But out of that context, there's some kind of spontaneity. And it always comes with music because this was in the Akan areas. Then there's that branch where we lift it from the context. And when I say we, our forefathers, those who led the kind of thing we are doing, and then bring it to the stage, bring it to recording. And this is maybe I'm talking to, let me make it short. But this, when I think of it, and I think of oral history, and I think of the people we speak to, and that point that you get to get data, and then you think, there's something really not adding up. Was it really how they described what they were told by people who also heard stories? So when we are thinking of it in terms of progressiveness, we shouldn't take that individual. When you read Levine, she speaks of the idea of revitalizing, as we have here, coming from a specific person who may have gotten an idea or the knowledge from somebody at their own, that individual at their own, to create. So within the context of that progressiveness, like Professor Agawu says, it is, where did I write there? A twaso. Without you even, it is continuous. Continuity of change. It is continuing without we paying attention to the nuances. But within different contexts, within different sensitivities, So when we perform and our other brothers, Kwampa performs, we are two different groups, but we are all doing Palmwine music. But they are taking the Palmwine now from us. We are taking it from Kodimo. When Kodimo performs, it's different. When you listen to records of Kwesi Baini and those other folks, it's quite different. Then when you listen to stories in the field, it's different. So that progression was what I wanted to point out.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kwaban. I want to ask you a question. I've experienced Legon Palmwine Band, and they performing at Nsadwase almost for about 5 years. One performance over here, one also under the tree, and then one behind this building. I want to ask, how does moving from one location to another affect your music?
But even before you answer, I want you to share your experience. Before they answer your question, being part of this process, I mean, what can you say?
So the first experience was right here, and it was a normal one.
Which one is the normal one?
The other one, which was behind this building, was when Dr. Wako died, and we had an Nsadwase session behind this one. That one was a different one. And then the one, it's too spiritual. Yeah. Yes. So then the one under the tree too was quite different. So I want to ask, how does moving from one place to the other affect your performance?
Yes.
All right, so I would say before every performance, I'm using the Legon Palmwine Band as an example. We have quite a number of performances every now and then, and most times we are playing for the health ministry or we are playing for the education ministry, and they have themes that they would like us to perform or play music that goes with the theme that they have set up. So every performance, you approach every performance differently, because the day, even today, approached us differently. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know the kind of people who were going to be here. So you watch the people and you communicate with them. Like I said earlier, it's communication and what you are communicating on. So let's say we are playing for the health ministry and their theme is on patient, practitioner relationships. We need to make music that goes with their theme. So we prepare ourselves based on what the day has provided for us. So I'll say.
All right. Thank you. But
just a quick one.
Yes, I would like, as you speak, let's contextualize it. So he made specific reference to performances here behind.
Yes, I'm going to speak to that. Yes. So it is not the space, but the people who participate in the performances that will suggest how every performance is going to be like. So imagine we are here today, and it's quite formal for us. You know, so if you watch us here, we keep talking. On a very normal Nsadwase, I'll be hanging around, I won't play, you know. And the vibe is also different. So it is not specifically the space, but the people who come into the space. So under the tree, we have Kwame Brenya coming. It's a different vibe altogether. When you go down there and you say the mood is spiritual, probably it's because there were a lot of Dr. Waku's students there. So it will be highly spiritual. So it isn't necessarily the space, but the people who come into the circle.
Yeah, but again, don't you think the occasion also matters? Because, for example, that performance you are making reference to, we all know the pain we had when we lost Dr. Waku. And couldn't that have affected that kind of performance, which he is describing as spiritual?
So you say the mood, or is it the mood?
The occasion.
The occasion.
Yes. made reference to the people.
But it is
and
the people who makes the occasion, right?
Well, anyway, I'm not too
You were
sure.
coming to Nsadwase,
Yes.
right? And you knew the context of Nsadwase, right? But when you came there and the music was going, like we were doing, and you know, when the music was ongoing, we raised a song that spoke to you, not necessarily the occasion, but it spoke to you, the person. Imagine on that day, you didn't participate in the singing, and I was happy because I had gotten my PhD. And I would sing based on my experience. So it is not necessarily the mood. Maybe then somebody is passed amongst us. But it is the people who come into that circle. There are certain days we only sing about Legon matters. There are also days it is only Akufo-Addo matters. So it is the people. When you have Karim in there, we'll talk about NDC, and stuff like that.
All right. Thank you. Shall we have Irama?
Yes. So
yes,
okay.
I'll come to you.
Okay. So taking the example from Prof, mentioned something about modernity and westernization. So I had a performance and the guitarist showed up with an electric guitar, and I was supposed to do Nsadwase songs, and I think I got feedback from some people that because he didn't use an acoustic guitar, I don't know if he was trying to say it changed the context of the performance, or it doesn't make it necessarily Palmwine music or Nsadwase. So I'd like to know if this is not a way of modernization, or because I don't think the guitarist was aware that he was supposed to use an acoustic guitar because he's just a guitarist. Yeah.
What do you think is modernization?
Oh, just like Prof mentioned, he thinks it's more like an improvement.
How do you measure improvement?
Well, I think when it makes things better for you, when it makes things easier.
You see,
Yeah.
all these are subjective.
Yeah.
I think either the musician was thinking of enhancing what they were doing, right? Or, I find it difficult when you use such terms as, modernization, contemporary, because it's quite a difficult word to really engage with. Would you say what we are doing is modernization? Would you say what Ejako does is archaic? And things like that. I remember Professor Emielu we would have a conversation and you would wonder how young guys would, have such affinity for the acoustic guitar. And then he would make reference to in Nigeria where they see the acoustic guitar as old. Prof? Yes. So would you say because they are using the electric guitar, it changes the meaning of whatever is being done?
And that's what I'm also trying to get the clarification for.
I think meanings are constructed by the people doing whatever they are doing. I may be wrong, but meanings are constructed by.
All right. So maybe essentially, should you have a guitarist playing electric guitar with you in your performance? Will it take anything away from that performance? Do you think it will take anything away? Or add anything?
So when we talk of our performance, we know we have a certain convention, a certain style, aesthetic appeal, right? That we use. So that is a different thing. Somebody looking at us for the first time will really enjoy it, will construct a certain meaning from what he's doing. But somebody who is used to us, would say, as kakra. So probably the person may have constructed the meaning based on a certain prior knowledge of what, Palmwine music or the jazz Nkomo.
All right.
Let's make progress. You come back.
Good evening.
Sorry, I'm late, and so I will take it from where I got the discussion. Bodo, Dr. Eric, good evening.
Yes.
Yes, so I'm a quasi member of Nsadwase. For all these 4 years, I haven't been there before, but I'm always there to support in a way. With the spontaneity that you mentioned, so far, how many reps can you give? Because you perform with different themes at different locations, and your compositions, or yes, you create something for, based on the theme. And I also want to know, do you spend like an hour, with wherever you go to play with themes, or probably the main performance lasts for maybe 10 minutes, so you are able to create something spontaneously to suit it, or you're able to create X-tempo for 2 hours? That's what I want to know.
So usually we would have a repertoire. We prepare a repertoire of what we think we'll be doing. 99.9% of the time, we don't use the repertoire. Two of our members are not here. So we get to the event, and Akwe Brown will tell you, Charlie, what Chakibi? So the repertoire is a guide. We have the guide, but we never touch the repertoire.
Yeah, and I would say these performance circles have already prepared us for spontaneity or spontaneousness, or whatever we call it. We have been here creating on the spot, so it is no different going for a performance, a paid gig, and creating on the spot. Nsadwase Nkomo has already prepared us for anything that will come our way. So I think I'll
also, how to link songs. I think in Nsadwase Nkomo we operate on rhythms. So several of the rhythms could go for so many of the songs. Sometimes we'll be playing a rhythm, and then a song I haven't heard before. We've not practiced before, and I'm like, what is going on here? So
mash up.
And there are also times we, the current, the contemporary generation call it freestyling, kind of. So let's say we are doing a popular song or a song that already exists, and then in between we look around and we feel we can involve the people. So I think on 21st, we had a gig, and then there was this song, I'm sure the young ones, ACA. Yeah, so we hadn't rehearsed the song before. We just talked about it, and we got there. So we were playing, and then we started with the names. And trust me, we spent about 15 minutes on that song, because we ended up mentioning, people ended up bringing names, even male names. They coined female names out of the male names and brought them, just so they can also respond with the, so Christiana, all those things.
Setina.
Yeah, so that is one thing we also do with some of our performances. We do that in some of the songs that already exist. So not just creating a whole new song.
Right. Next question. Yes. Or comment.
It's actually not a question, but maybe a suggestion. Yes, I'm just thinking that somebody made mention of he knowing you guys for the past almost 5 years now, and me personally, I think 4 years now. I'm thinking that why can't you make it in a form of festival? All right, we have a particular date, and when you know that date, is approaching, we start, advertising for the whole, or making publicity for the whole thing, for people to know where and when it's going to happen, other than just doing it when the occasion comes and stuff like that. It's just, and then moreover, to when you said in Nsadwase Nkomo, you said, yeah, no Monsani F5, and truly when you came, there was a Palmwine around. I remember when I heard of Charlotte Festival, I went there, I was thinking people would be wearing Charlotte and stuff, but I didn't see anything like that. But this one, Palmwine is present. It suits the name for the band. So I'm thinking if you can make it a festival or something.
I would say these performance circles prepare us for a bigger festival, which has happened 4 times since 2016. 2016, 2017, 2018, 19. 2020, we couldn't do it because of COVID. And 2021 was at Zen Garden in collaboration with Kwampa Band. Last year, we couldn't do it because of unforeseen circumstances. But this year, we are going to have Nsadwase Music Festival. It's a festival we have already been doing. Yeah. But these circles, when we meet every month, like once a month, is to prepare us for the festival ahead. So there is actually a festival.
So like the politicians, is in the pipeline, right?
That's right.
and there are times we don't have palm wine, but it doesn't take, as Eric would say, the wine is in your hands, it's in your palms. So there are times we don't have palm wine, especially when you go for gigs. They'll be asking you now, palm wine away. We don't have it, but the music is, yeah, so.
Yeah, Dr. Adakwe.
Yes, thank you very much. In fact, I am still pondering over the question Irama asked, talking about playing Palmwine music with an electric guitar. One thing that is very difficult to describe is a music performance, especially when you are not there to experience it. So, for instance, if a guitarist decides to use an electric guitar for Palmwine music, and you mentioned that people were saying it wasn't the right instrument, because we were not there to experience how he did it, we will not be able to tell whether it was right or wrong. Let me give a small example. For instance, if we have do, so, do, la, mi, so, fa, da, 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 do, so, mi, fa, mi. Okay, so looking at some of the creations or some of the effects the electric guitar can make. Now, we all know that we don't have a lot of chromatics in terms of this kind of progression. So I'm just giving an example. He made do, so, do, di, more, do. Then, though it's moving to a jazz-like thing, it is progressive, all right. But because the ear is not used to such a progression for this kind of music, they may think it's too much. So as much as we are thinking of modernization, it must still be in context. At times, as a musician, if you don't take care, you may move so much ahead of your time, unless it is an intentional or it's a deliberate way of changing it. For instance, we can introduce an orchestra into Palmwine music, or we can introduce a full band into Palmwine music. That one we know it's intentional, it's deliberate. But as much as we want to modernize, we may also think of performing in context. Probably that is the reason why maybe some unnecessary effects and some notes and even the flair, all those things come into bear. I don't know whether I've answered it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me make a comment about what he said. Well, I just want to make a comment that innovations don't catch on quickly sometimes. It takes time. Someone like Fela developed Afrobeat. It took a long time before it caught on. So bringing the electric guitar may offend people's sensibilities. This is what we're used to. This is not what we're used to. So over time, it may. So another point is, I want to, add my voice to Professor Agawu to appreciate you, the musicians, and the music. You make the music that with you rise. And like you said, there is no, one book I was reading, it said, when you go to school of music, you learn the rules, follow and pass. When you leave school, you break the rules. If you say no parallel field, when you go outside, you do for them to pass. When you go outside, you break the rules, because without breaking the rules, there's no creativity, So you do your work, and the question that I asked, about how you can develop, you have answered it in so many ways. For example, Kwampa keep bombarding my Instagram with, events. Every time Kwampa, their level, what they play, is, like you said, is different from what you do. Then even a contest, like I saw you rap now, I say, hey, so this is, and this is, so the like what Professor Agawu said, there's a lot already layered in, that represents form of progressivism, and it's for us now to unpack them. So you're already doing it. First of all, you are taking it from the local Palmwine bar. You are not in an academic setting. Then you move to ministries, you go here, you go here, you go here, And those people at the Palmwine bar, I'm not sure they were paid, but sometimes you are paid. That's another level, So progressivism is already taking place. Thank you.
Prof, it's not sometimes they are paid. A lot of the times. It is only when they perform here that they are not paid. But all other performances, they get paid.
It's good, man.
Okay, so good evening. My question is, in modernizing and accepting change, at what point do we think that the change should stop? How do we retain the originality and authenticity of what we are doing?
So we take 2 more questions. Okay, you please answer that.
Who is answering? I will. I don't think change stops. We keep changing. We keep modernizing. There is no way you are going to stop making phones. Today you see this phone, you can't see through the back. But I'm sure in the next few years, you can see through the back and you can use the back of the phone as well. So I don't think modernization will ever end, or we will say it has ended. No, unless we don't want to progress. So I believe we will progress through change.
Yeah. So I think in as much as change won't stop, there's one thing that usually remains is the foundation of everything. Like you made an analogy with the phone. The whole point of the phone is to communicate. So no matter how advanced it gets, you can still make a call. You can still text somebody. So, for example, with Palmwine, no matter the changes that come into it, or no matter how far it evolves to, we still have the basics, the basics that you can never do without. The moment you take them out, it becomes something else. So we can add, even with bands. Now people try to apply the tempo, the rhythms on keyboards and all those things just to create that Palmwine atmosphere, even though there's no guitar, there's no so there's no percussion and all those things. So I think the basic is something that the foundation is something we can't change. We can just keep on adding new things, or finding new ways around it. Yeah, exactly.
Good evening. My name is Maolom. The question I have is, I would like to know how the composition of the Palmwine band has progressed over time, because I'm asking myself if going forward we can look forward to having, say, maybe a Tentimbeng or another instrument as part of the band. Can you tell us, for example, you were talking about the forefathers, were they in a group like this, or it was just maybe a guitar or 2 guitars, and you have put it together like this? So we know that going forward, there's a basic composition and there are other instruments that can come in. Thank you.
I believe our forefathers started not this way. I'm not sure our forefathers had a semi-acoustic guitar with a jack plug. From what I have read and from what I know, it started at Palmwine bars with one person who would just come and sit, have conversations, and you just raise a song and other people will also join in. But it has developed over time. I remember during one of our circles, we invited one alumnus from here, Mr. Seth. Right, I'll use Mr. because yes, Mr. Seth to come and play the trumpet. The trumpet is not part of an Nsadwase or Palmwine band setup, but it adds variety. It adds variety in compositions and in everything. So there will come a time we will compose and maybe we need the help of an attentivist to come in. Exactly.
Maybe to add, just to add. So throughout my study, I came across 2 different contexts, one coming out of the other. So there is the communal music making, drinking, within that context. And the music is very loose. It could be hand clapping, it could be separate. It's just singing, right? And then there's other context where we take it out of the bar and commercialize it like we do, So in that context, this setup we see, it was constructed and it has evolved over the years. In the early 1900s, Collins tells us there were native or guitar bands. They were usually 3. No drums, 1 guitar, and a big box. Right. Kakiku introduces Premprensua, Konimo picks it up, and here we are. Kwampa looks at us and says, no, we are not using Premprensua, we'll use Gome. So these sets we are talking about are constructed based on the band, the individual leading the idea, and what purpose you want to. But like he said, the main rhythms are maintained.
So because of time, we will take 3 comments and questions, then we'll give our discussants the final, the opportunity to give the final word. So please.
Madaroma meka Nsadwase nyomo asem kakra.
Briefly.
Matimenu brief amount. I'm talking about the growth and sending Nsadwase nyom exercise over time. I so appreciate my 2 teachers talking before my speech, because I would say the instruments will change over time. Nobody can change. Change is the only constant thing. So if 3 people with guitars are doing Palmwine music, and 3 people, 2 can play guitar and 1 can play Gome or Primprin, so I still Palmwine music. But then Teacher Kojo took it from the bar as somebody could start it, even 1 person could start in Nsadwase nyom. So I've realized that only one thing remains in Palmwine music over the years, the Palmwine. The instruments will change, but the Palmwine. But then again, you have to pay attention to the Palmwine, because when our fathers speak, you have to read between the lines. We say, so it is the message and discussion of communal issues that is constant in Palmwine music. That is to me, because I don't play instrument. I'm coming from a lyrical, philosophical angle. So that is my point. I feel that it is only the Palmwine, they're talking about things happening in the community. So no matter what instrument, whether Kwanpa or Legon, we make sure we are talking about the national issues like Etor. We talk about tax and how to grow the country together. So that is the only thing that I think should be constant in Palmwine music. Make sure you are discussing societal issues. Other than that, it's Akpateshi music.
Hello. Right. So good evening. Hello. Like the discussion on the, I would just say that as for the development, it will keep growing. For someday to become Palmwine orchestra with more instruments, and then we'll create something new to give us a signature. But I want to stick to 3 things that Prof. Agawu mentioned, which I think cut across traditional music. The spoken word is very deep, coming with philosophies, coming with proverbs, coming with stories, folk tales. Need to focus more on that. Then the music, utilizing African elements and traditional elements, and also fusing with others. Very important. And then the creativity, which is selling the music across. So I think we should reflect more on these three, the spoken word. That's what I'm taking from here. The music and the creativity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Evans. I would like to ask a question. In an attempt to revitalize Palmwine music, which I didn't know about till I got to this university, how challenging is it working with an audience that know nothing about it? Because we are all used to, like, we've been programmed to a particular style of music, as in like the contemporary ones. So I want to know how challenging it is working with
music.
an audience
So,
like
Doc introduced this. And at that time, I mean, he sold the idea to us, and we loved the music, so we decided to go into it. And then we started learning the songs, the old songs we couldn't even hear the words. Chinimo and all those great musicians. So in implementing these lessons in our performance circles, what we do is, as we sing the old ones, we try to incorporate the contemporary songs, the current ones that the young ones are familiar with, into, so let's say you have, like Eric said, you have a rhythm and a progression, and you think there's this new song, people are jamming to that, you can sing it through, and they will still, just to get the attention, you do that. So with time, they became familiar with and we do it continuously, and we consistently. Like, you can have a song like Obra, maybe this month we will add it to the reps that you sing here. The next month we will add it. Maybe we will now bring it into our context. Like, so sometimes you even change the lyrics small just to make sure the new generation can relate. So these are some of the things. It hasn't been easy, but it's been interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So a few references have been made to Kwampa band, right? Another Palmwine band. The founder and leader is here, and he wants to make a few comments.
Thank you, sir. Please, greetings to everybody. My name is Hassan, and I'm part of Kwampa. So I heard a number of comments. I just want to say that Palmwine music, in my opinion, is not too stiff. It's not cast in stone. It's on an evolution path, and it is still evolving, in my opinion. If you look at the Kumasi Trio, a band that recorded in 1928, they recorded with 2 guitars and 1 adakem, a wooden chest. Now we have added the bell. No, I'll not say we have added. We use the bell, we use the rattle, we use the gourmet, we use the palugo drums, we use the guitar, and all that. And I believe it is still dynamic. Kwabena Nyama was a Palmwine musician, and at a point, he also played the concertina. So I read in a number of books where he also brought in the concertina in some of his performances. So I believe that it is not too static. Again, the event or the particular performance venue or the performance needs. So we adapt a lot. For instance, if you are in church and you are doing Palmwine music, you have to play what will fit, what will be part of that church setting. So we've done a number of performances in church. We've done a number of performances in funeral services where we have to play songs that will have to be related to the final rites and all those things. So I'm just saying that Palmwine music is never static. Of course, we may have our own conventions when it comes to the Palmwine styles, the kind of things we'll play on the guitar and all that. But altogether, we keep on adapting. We keep on changing, adding a few things. For instance, for us, we do a lot of commercial performances. In other words, we do lots of performances for money. And so you'll have to do what your commissioner is asking you to do. I mean, these are some of the realities. When we started, we were doing a lot of performances at these eateries and restaurants and hotels. and you'll get requests that, oh, can't you do this for us? Can't you do this for us? So of course we adapt, but keeping in mind the fundamentals, where you are, where you picked it from, and where in your mind where you think you are going. Ejako Nimo has done lots of performances. We've looked at lots of people. Our brothers here, Legon Palmwine Band, and let me say this on record: without Legon Palmwine Band, there will be no Kwampa, because it was out of Legon Palmwine Band that the inspiration and everything for Kwampa started. So yes, big ups, Eric and everyone there. So yes, let's keep on exploring with Palmwine music. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, there are a few hands, but you know, the tradition with Nsadwase Nkomo is always 1 hour, 30 minutes. Yes. Right? We don't go beyond. And we still want to keep that tradition.
Amen.
In a modernized environment.
Progressively.
in a progressive way, yes. So we are giving our discussant, Professor Kofi Agawu, to give us the last words and summary, kind of. Not benediction, no.
Definitely not benediction. There won't be any closing prayer either. I just want to, well, first of all, thank the head of department for organizing this event. This, for me, has been a fascinating event. Having this kind of dialogue between performers and theorists, having this kind of dialogue between performers and theorists performers, you know, and any combination like that, I think it's a good thing, and I hope that you will continue with this. I just wanted to say a couple of things. One, to go back to something Professor Emielu said at the beginning of his remarks, when he said that one of his concerns had been with the categories in which we divide African music. What are these? Are they fixed? Which one is authentic? Which one is not? And the enduring categories that don't seem to want to go away are traditional music, popular music, and then art music, you see. And I just want to say that traditional music and popular music are intertwined in certain ways. And one of the beauties of what you guys are doing, of the Legon Palmwine Band or Palmwine music, is that it is traditionally rooted, but you're also using instruments of adoption, as they call them, and you're not worrying about them. They have become traditionalized, if you like. We can't keep saying just because a guitar came in, you know, on a certain date, you know, you have 100 years of use of that instrument. It's changed. It's changed. It's become as much part of your tradition as any drum or bell or anything like that, because you have made it. But that third category, the art music, and this is on my mind because I was talking to some of our colleagues at Winnipeg the other day. That's where the crazies are. That is where you have a very individualized kind of expression. And so if your innovation takes you to a point where it has lost touch with where you have ceased to communicate, then chances are that you are going into a different category. Now, this is not something you have to worry about. As I said, you're free, innovate however you want. But be aware that one of the apparent imperatives in what you're doing is, in fact, the desire to always communicate. So, as far as I can tell, Palmwine, the Palmwine idiom respects the relationship with the audience. Never relinquishes that, you know, and that to me is beautiful. But Eric will tell me that's subjective, so we'll leave it there. But no, congratulations to everyone. I think this has been fruitful, and I hope we continue the dialogue.
Thank you. A round of applause. Prof, thank you very much. And if we were to be in a church setting, we would say, what shall we say to our discussants and our speakers? Yeah, so we want to say a very, very big thank you for all our resource persons, Mr. Ekpodo, Professor Emielu, and Professor Kofi Agawu. We are so, so grateful. I would like to invite the head of department to formally say the thank you and a closing to progressively say the traditional thank you.
Mommy.
And final remarks. A round of applause.
Mommy.
Thank you very much, moderator. I think that this has been a great experience, right? Oh, thank you. Back there. Yes, I don't intend summarizing, but I just want to recap a few things that I was also able to put down on my phone. And I believe that we have learned about the problem of labeling. And Prof has also emphasized that right now about trying to label traditional and popular and art and all that. We've also learned about modernization aspects of the band. They made us aware that microphone was one of them. And we also learned how they compose their songs, how they look at people's experiences and they put it in the song that they perform. And also reasons why people attend their events. And one of the things that they said that was so interesting was the fact that people come to drink palm wine, right? They don't listen to the music, but they just come to drink the palm wine and they go. We also learned about the fact that what they do, their art, is a spoken word, it's a sung word, and it is also mediated. There is a built-in progressivity. And we have learned how this band is really an example of a progressive traditionalism band, or a band that is building on tradition. We've really learned a lot. This is just a brief or a summary of what we have learned this evening. I would like to take this opportunity to thank every one of you here, particularly the speakers and the discussants. In fact, it's also awesome. They are deep in what they do. The knowledge that they have given us is so awesome. We also want to particularly thank Professor Agawu. He could have come to Ghana and just gone back without us seeing or even knowing that he's in town. But he decided to pay us a visit, and not just that, to share his experience and knowledge with us. We are so, so, so grateful, Prof, that you always come to see what we are doing in this department, and you give us a lot what you have. Thank you so much. We want to thank the band, Palmwine. They are our children, and we are so proud to have you. And we also have Kompa, who is also one of our children. We are so grateful that you always respond to us when we call you. We are grateful. Apologies from the dean, who had wanted to be with us, but because of ill health, she wasn't able to come. And I know that definitely she will watch the videos. We are so grateful to you, Prof, for even the desire to come and then join us in this experience. We thank all faculty members. I could see the head of theater arts. She was here, maybe she's gone. I also see dance faculty members here. I see Uncle T, Dr. Terry, I see Dr. Hagel also behind. And I saw Dr. Antonio, I think he has stepped out. And music department faculty, they are here in their numbers. I see Dr. Adakwe right in front of me. I see Miss Grace Techi. I see Mr. Nisoa also seated here. Our professor is here with us. I see Mr. Okanta. I see Mr. Kofi Kudonu. I see moderator is standing there. I see band director just right behind me. I would like to say a big thank you, and also Dr. Peter Chum Berima, also seated behind there. I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you. Without you, audience, in fact, this wouldn't have been an awesome experience. There is something small that we want to do on behalf of the Department of Music. we would like to present this small gift to our distinguished professor who came to unleash wisdom and knowledge on us. So, Professor Agawu. Thank you very, very much. It is not mine that is also in. Moderator.
A round of applause for Dr. Ajwa Ahin. Aha. So, yes, officially we have closed, but I would like to invite our resource persons for a photograph with the band. I mean, they should be playing and we see how it works. This is Biasi. Yeah, Prof. Agawu, HOD.
I'm a pet and I'm a can.
Faculty members. Faculty members.
And I know when you ready, make concert just no. And near mammy, who know you. As when he and so catch it. It be a bodo.
Are we fine?
Bodo. It be a bada. Hey, mod. Bada.
Thank you. Students, please don't leave. Help us take the chairs back to E9. We also want to thank our videographers. Sir Ike, our photographer, the sound man.
Apologies, so yes, the videographer, the soundsman. Thank you so much. Anyone I missed, please pardon me. Thank you, everyone.
And the lighting people too. Akpe Nami.
Yeah. What to me. Kedi.